The story of Jed Clampett begins in the humble hills, a world far removed from the glitz and glamour that would soon define his family's existence. Jed was a simple man, a mountaineer who spent his days trying to provide for his family with nothing but the sweat of his brow and the steady aim of his rifle. It was a life of quiet struggle, where the line between having enough and having nothing at all was as thin as the mountain air. One fateful day, while Jed was out hunting for supper, his life took a turn that no one in his kinfolk could have possibly imagined. As he fired a shot toward a patch of ground, the earth itself seemed to recoil, and from that very spot bubbled up a dark, thick liquid. It was oil, the kind that promised a future beyond the dusty roads of his home. Black gold. Texas tea. The transformation was swift, and before the sun could set on his old life, Jed was a man of immense fortune. His kinfolk, eyes wide with the possibilities of this newfound wealth, immediately urged him to seek a new life. They told him that California was the place to be, a land of opportunity where his millions would hold the weight they deserved. And so, with a spirit of adventure and a truck loaded to the brim with their meager belongings, they set off for Beverly Hills. It was a place of swimming pools and movie stars, a world where the Beverly Hillbillies found themselves quite literally at home. As they settled into their new surroundings, the adjustment period proved to be as chaotic as it was humorous. Granny, the matriarch of the family, held on to her traditions with a fierce tenacity, even as she navigated the strange customs of the city. She even considered bringing her dentistry practice to their new home, planning to bolt her chair right into the bed of their truck, convinced that the people of Beverly Hills would be lining up for curb service. Meanwhile, back in the small town of Hooterville, a man named Sam Drucker was struggling to connect with the Clampetts. He had been trying for days to reach them, eager to share the news that he had won a contest for selling the most soybeans and was heading to Hollywood for his prize. When he finally managed to send a telegram through the help of others, it reached Granny, who saw it as the ultimate romantic gesture. She convinced herself that Sam was coming to carry her off, a prospect she both relished and prepared for with her own brand of wit. In the parlor, where they had placed the dental chair amidst the protestations of those who thought it was a poor place for courting, the atmosphere was thick with the anticipation of impending visits and the strange, vibrant life they were living in the mansion. The arrival of various suitors and the constant stream of visitors turned the Clampett household into a whirlwind of activity. Dash Riprock, a famous movie star, became a frequent visitor, though his intentions were often misunderstood by those who didn't quite grasp the nature of Hollywood romances. Jethro, ever the eager observer of these unfolding dramas, found himself caught in the middle of schemes to match people up or drive them away. He was worried, deep down, that if Granny married Sam Drucker and moved back to Hooterville, he and his Uncle Jed would be left to fend for themselves, relying on the questionable cooking of Ellie Mae. As the days passed, the absurdity of their situation reached new heights. Granny continued to be the darling of the Hollywood social scene, or so she believed, and Sam Drucker found himself navigating a world where movie stars and millionaires were as common as the neighbors he left behind. The house was a revolving door of characters, each more eccentric than the last, and the simple, honest values of the Clampetts were constantly being tested against the polished, often superficial nature of their new life. Despite the confusion, the laughter, and the occasional miscommunication, the bond between the family members remained the bedrock of their existence. They were a team, united by their past and the shared, often bewildering journey they were now on. In the end, it was not the wealth that defined them, but the way they held on to who they were. Whether they were steaming donuts with a crowbar, avoiding the advancements of unwanted suitors, or simply trying to understand the strange ways of the big city, the Clampetts carried themselves with a resilience that was both charming and inspiring. They taught those around them that while the setting might change, the heart of a person and the love of a family are the only things that truly matter in the grand design of life. As they prepared for another evening of excitement, with the lights of Beverly Hills shining down on their mansion, they knew that as long as they had each other, they would always be right at home, no matter where in the world they might be.